A year ago, were white Americans the most discriminated against group in the United States? You said it. So
yeah.
Senator,
no, certainly this is my belief. I'm not running away from that. I think that while, of course, all races in different contexts can be subject to really severe discrimination, that when we look at our legal structures, white Americans are often very disfavored in overt ways. We're seeing this in the Small Business Administration, many other places.
So your belief is that white Americans face more discrimination, at least prior to the Trump administration fixing this, than black Americans?
On average, Senator, yes, that's correct, and I'm not running away from that statement at all.
Tell me how you define white identity and what you think is being erased about white identity.
Certain types of Anglo-derived culture that comes from our history.
Like what?
Let me think about this. Senator, I would say if you were to look at the book by one of your former Senate colleagues, Born Fighting, about the sort of Scotch-Irish military culture and certain, pride that went with that, that would be one example. Obviously, you could have sub-elements of that culture. You could have Italians, you could have Irish, and those are in many ways more distinct.
You're worried about white culture. You're not worried about, you're now retreating to ethnic identity. You don't speak about ethnic identity. You speak about white identity. So tell me the values that stitch together white identity and that make it different than black identity.
I would say that the white church is very different than the black church in terms of its tone and style on average. Foodways could often be different.
And those
music could be different.
And those are being erased.
Music could be different. Well, if you look at the Super Bowl halftime show, which was not in English this year.
So our ability to access white churches or white food or white music is being erased?
I am concerned with the majority common American culture that we had for some time that through particularly mass immigration, I think has become much more balkanized, and I think that weakens us. And again, I'm not running away from that comment. I'm not apologizing for it.
Well, I'm way over my time. I think you're struggling to answer this question, right? Because underlying your beliefs is a sentiment that white culture is just simply better.
One of the things you said was American whites are victims of a cultural genocide. Where to start? So you'd agree with me, wouldn't you, that whites are pretty well represented in the United States Senate?
They are well represented in this body, yes, Senator.
And how about in the House of Representatives?
Senator Kaine, I don't have those particular numbers, however...
But you would agree that they're pretty well represented in the House of Representatives?
Senator, I would, again, thank you for the question. I would point out that there were no white Protestants by birth in the 25 cabinet members under Joe Biden.
How about in the ranks of American presidents throughout history, including now, pretty well represented whites?
Senator...
And how about in the ranks of vice presidents during American history now? Whites pretty well represented in that group, right?
Senator, thank you again for the question.
Yeah. I don't think it's hard. How about on the United States Supreme Court? Throughout our history and including now, whites pretty well represented on the United States Supreme Court, correct?
I think obviously historically, I would of course agree with you. Of course, the vast majority of Americans were white at that time. It's now a much more diverse society.
Let's focus on right now. How about in the ranks of American governors? You think whites are pretty well represented?
I would just have to look at the numbers. I don't know.
Okay, how about this? In the ranks of CEOs of major corporations today, you think whites are pretty well represented?
Senator, thank you for the question. I suspect that they are probably pretty well represented in that. But there are other areas where they're not as well represented.
How about in the ranks of high-income people? And we can define it however you want. Let's just say like top 10% of wealthy Americans. You think whites are pretty well represented?
Senator, thank you for the question. They would certainly be underrepresented with respect to Asian Americans, but they would be overrepresented with respect to other groups.
Yeah. A cultural genocide, that's a stiff claim. And it's an interesting one because it's kind of a white victimhood argument. But if I remember my colleague, Senator Rosen, she was reading comments to you where you had been saying, man, Jews play the victim. Jews like to be the victim. And yet you're making a claim that whites are victimized by a cultural genocide when all the statistics would say, not just in history, but today, that whites are very well represented at every level of every institution. They're very well represented in the incomes of Americans. And that doesn't mean each person is high income or each person is a Supreme Court justice, but you could look institution after institution in this country and the facts completely rebut.
Shalom, shalom, Israel. First and foremost, I want to give all honor, glory, and praise unto Yahawah, Ba'ashem, Yahawashi, Ba'ashem, Rakwah, Kodash, double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone. And shalom to the mighty Akim Wathim who are diligently waiting to be delivered from this foul captivity, as well as a speckled bird that may look like the other nations but are actually Yasharallah. This is Brother Kabba coming at you with no lesson. Today's lesson is going to be on this video that I had seen. I think it's pretty funny that this guy, he was basically saying all this ridiculous stuff of so-called whites are being genocided, attacked and all that stuff or whatever, cultural genocide and all that stuff, and basically making out to seem like so-called white people are the victims and stuff like that, when his own people, which I'm not gonna lie, I'm so baffled by the fact that other Edomites were the one that was calling him out and saying how he was just objectively wrong. All right, like I thought it's just like, wow, like what are these people like doing? What are these people thinking and stuff like that? Anyway, Matthew 12 verse 25, and Yahushua knew their thoughts and said, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. Verse 26, and if Satan casts out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? All right. So, yeah, basically, the devil is casting out himself. How is it that the devil is saying, oh, you're a devil, you're a bad person, you're this, you're that, or whatever, and stuff like that, when in actuality, these people are the ones that are the evil, and then they're going to be saying, oh, it's like I think, I don't know what the saying, I think it's the saying, it's like the pot calling the kettle black or something like that and stuff like that, where it's just like, how are you being so hypocritical? How are you saying all this stuff when the fact of the matter, like the objective reality is that look at what you're doing compared to what is reality, you know? Like you see how the society is, how society is right now. When you see how society is right now, the dude is saying that white people are under attack, which that's actually been a big thing that they're trying to push the narrative on, which it's so ironic to me, where literally the main people that are getting attacked are the Israelites. You know, you saw that shit with what's it called? What's that dude's name? George Floyd. All right, with the thing with George Floyd, and how is it that with all the cop killings, all the unrighteous deaths that we have to go through, how is it that we are the ones, or how is it that they're the ones that's the victim? How is it that they're the ones that are under attack, their lives are in danger and all this stuff like this, when when our lives are constantly in danger? All right, like it's like how are you just saying something that's so blatantly wrong and verifiably false? All right. So as a result of that, you know, I thought that this was a funny video, and I want to do it. As a result of that, yeah, like it's just like these people. Number one, these people are divided against themselves, and I guess like respect to them, kinda, not fully, but there's some level of respect to them for calling out their own, for saying something that's just so stupid. And by the way, if you're wondering about why this thing is like this, I don't know. I think the internet just cut out while the page was loading. Anyway, to get back on topic, Jeremiah 16 verse 19, O Lord, my strength and my fortress and my refuge in the day of affliction, the Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit. And you know, that's the thing. At the end of the day, the reality of it is that these people, they push out lies. They push out that, oh, we're the greatest people, we're this, we're that, we're amazing, we're awesome people and stuff like that, when in actuality, no, they're not. They're like, that's just it. It's just like, no, it's just a no. It's just a flat out no. This whole narrative of Esau being one of the greatest people on the face of the earth, the greatest nation and whatnot, it's just objectively false. Even with what's it called, the other nations, and or Slakia, the reality, not the reality, what's it called, the narrative of America's a first world country, it's the greatest place to live, it's the best opportunity. Not, well, no, that's clearly not the case, especially with the growing trouble of how the economy is right now, where the economy is getting worse. The economy, it's getting harder and harder to be able to live. People used to have a certain expectation of, okay, yeah, you just go to college, get your degree and all this stuff, be able to work. But then if you look at, because I did a video on that actually, where this one Asian guy, he was basically saying he went and got his bachelor's and master's degree and he couldn't even find a freaking job. And by the way, I had a video, I did a video response because someone commented on that video and they basically said, "Ed, welcome to the real world," as if that was something to be happy about. Like, you're laughing that society fucks over its people. All right, you're happy that you're happy that people can't make money. All right, like this was it. Oh no, hold on, this was the wrong video. It's over here. Here, okay, over here. This person
later and
convenient. But let's go here. This person said, "Welcome to the real world," as if ruining a burning economy is the real world. Inflation, constantly fucking people over and stopping people from being able to have a normal life and a sustainable income is normal. Going to college and then not being able to find proper job income and all that stuff is like, I just don't understand. I genuinely just do not understand. All right.
in life, it's embarrassing. The same manager, the same 40 and 50-year-olds that used to work there are still there, and now I'm fucking going back. Please tell me, what are you doing to make money in this economy? What? And I have fucking nothing. 120,000 getting 11 interviews and 0 job acceptance letters.
I literally applies on the company website for him.
After applying for over 324 jobs, getting 11 interviews and 0 job acceptance letters back, I'm convinced I'm going to be homeless in a year. And the worst part is I am over $120,000 in debt because society says you're supposed to get a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. Well, I got both, and I have fucking nothing. Do you?
So yeah, you heard that. He literally did what they said, what the government said you're supposed to do, and then like this is this dude's answer to that, laughing at someone for doing what the government said to do and then getting fucked over like that. You're proud of being able of you're proud of this society, you're proud of this economy, you're proud of like how things are. Like what type of stupidity is that? Like that's not normal. Like that's just ridiculous. All right, but yeah, I just thought like how are you saying something like that? And it's like, well, it's like even if you're not even trying to be sympathetic, which okay, sure, I guess, but like you're literally just acting as if that shit is okay or that's fine. Like you just sound dumb thinking that this is an acceptable thing. Anyway, John chapter 8, verse 44, ye are of your father the devil, the lust of your father you will do. He was murdered from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there was no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. And basically that's what we're seeing today, where even when it comes to guiding their people, guiding their, not even just their people, but guiding the people in general, as, you know, of course, Esau is in leadership position. All right, let me get these. Over here, yeah, basically, even if he's in leadership position, of course, it's not going to work. He's not going to allow the stuff to work out well for not just us, but everyone. All right, not just Israelites, when I say us, but everyone. All right. Next, Proverbs chapter 29, verse 2, when the righteous are on authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. And, you know, that's basically the thing where the righteous are supposed to be in authority, and when the righteous are in authority, then that's when, oh yeah, society is going to be well, everything's going to go by smoothly. We don't have to worry about how things are constantly being destroyed with how terrible not society, the economy. I keep on saying society instead of economy in some certain areas, but yeah, that's not how things are supposed to be. But they're letting things get ruined. Now, Romans 13, verse 1, let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of Yahweh. The powers that be are ordained of Yahweh. Whosoever therefore resists the power, resists the ordinances of Yahweh, and they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. And basically, the thing is that, you know, we're over here, we are over here being led by these evil demons, all right? So we have to understand that, like, this is just hearing these devils talk like this. Well, yes, all of them anyway. To be honest, all of them. But mainly when you hear this bullshit of white genocide and all this stuff like that is being threatened and stuff like that. When you hear this type of stuff, it's just like you can't even say anything, because even though it's so ridiculous and it's clearly a lie, like, there's no arguing with it, because at the end of the day, Esau's just going to keep on doing the same deceitful, lying BS that he's known for. All right, playing a freaking victim when he's the perpetrator, stabbing people while claiming, help me, I need help, while kicking you in your teeth, while kicking you down, while beating on you and stuff like that. While as you're suffering, Esau's going to say all this stuff of, oh, look at all this stuff, look at how these people are, look at this, look at that, and whatnot. We're over here suffering. We're always have to deal with all these things, and how these so-called other nations are being evil and whatnot. When look in the mirror of who the actual villain is. All right, so with that, I pray this lesson was edifying. I want to give all honor, glory, and praise unto Yahawah, Hashem, Yahawashi, Hashem, Rakwah, Quadash, double honors to the elders and apostles, the great millstone of Bible, and Shalom.